Hey everyone, what a day.
What a week. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday is right. We wanted to hop on right now and just talk about the roller coaster that happens when you are a real estate investor or you are self-employed or anything of that nature.
Those were literally the words on one of our teammates' mouths, out of the mouth. He was like, what an up and down, and oh my gosh, because today, definitely on top of the roller coaster.
Right, and that's what happens, and that's what I kind of explained, that overall you're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days, but as you can see by the title probably up above, we locked up 4 deals today. Today with creative financing. So we're going to drop a little bit on each one of those real quick, just to kind of give you how we make this happen. How do you close 4 houses in one day, creative financing? And guys, once you hear the money, I mean, it's just, this is awesome. So
here he is. Hey Steve, we're just talking about you.
Yeah, we were talking about Steve. He is super pumped. He got 2 out of those deals, so he is on a roll. And really,
Top Shelf. We have a new name for him.
Top Shelf.
Top Shelf.
Is his new nickname. Yep, we definitely Jen coined that for him, and it is now stuck. But the neat thing about that was how he made those deals was follow-up. Follow-up is the key. These were folks where one of them was actually, this was a cold call, one of them, and he reached out to the gentleman, and the guy lost his work phone number in the recycling bin. So Steve had great conversation with him. We were waiting for the next step, and the guy just completely disappears. He is relentlessly following up with this guy, but the guy's phone's not working. I tried myself, maybe a different phone number. Nothing.
We reached out to the neighbor. The neighbor had no clue. It was an empty house. So it's just one of those crazy deals that some people would do.
Is with that deal, getting a FaceTime call, of course. But the one thing about that deal, which is pretty cool, is it was that follow-up that Steve stayed on him. And the neat thing about that, he kept on checking on Zillow. He put his other phone number on there and bang, got on the phone with him and made a deal work.
And if you're interested in an awesome tip as far as how to keep yourself organized, then in the chat there, write down organize, and we will send you our top number 1 tip on follow-up and how to really make sure that you are following up with that person time and time again. So again, in the chat there, just go ahead and write down organize, and we will send you that.
But once again, it's staying organized, and it's the follow-up, and that's how you could have it come to fruition on these deals. So
attention is in the details.
And it was really, it's nothing overly complicated once you learn how to simplify the process, and that's what we try to really work diligently on.
Systems in place, for sure.
Right, and that's the point. We try to work hard on making sure it is simple, easy, and then just execute.
Follow up.
So that was the first deal. The second one, it was the same type of a situation where folks reached out to us. With this one, he ran through all the right steps, and we've talked about several different options, and they reached back out and they said they're good to go.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's the one in Binghamton.
Oh, okay. It was a warm lead.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a warm lead.
And whose was that?
Steve's.
Oh, was Steve? Okay.
Yeah.
2 for 2.
Yeah, that's what I talk about. He got 2 deals today. That's why he's so pumped.
There's so many going on. I don't have my whiteboard in front of me.
We're spinning circles around her right now. There's
a
lot going on. So that was really, really exciting about that. Once again, it was follow-up. He did a great job, reached out to them. They actually emailed Jen. It was
very detailed.
Very on top of it. And Steve, once again, just did a great job. And that's really what it boils down to, guys.
Because it takes a team, too. And I'm going to say that because this email, the guy was just reaching out, wanted to know a little bit more about our company, and Steve was, referred him right back to our Facebook page because we absolutely love Facebook, and that's a whole different live in and of itself, but having that Facebook presence was key here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this guy has a lot of questions, and I just sent it right back to Steve, and I said, hey, how'd you follow up with this person? And then Steve was able to connect, and then was able to come back with us. So it was really having that bounce back and forth because this one person had a lot of questions, very valuable information that he needed, and he was able to get them answered.
Right, and that's really what it boils down to. And then on the other side, we've got Brendan, who locked up a couple of deals on his side today, once again from a lot of follow-up. These are 2 older leads that once at one point we thought maybe they just weren't going to pan out, but it's the follow-up with them. Over time, things will change, and it ended up working out for a terms deal. No money down, and that's what we love about some of these deals. No money down. So we are buying this house, and without going to a bank, without having to come up with money. We'll pay some closing costs, but it's probably going to be $2,000.
I answered a poll and I said I love closing costs, and I think it was 10% of people said they liked it, 90% hate the closing costs. But if it's just the closing costs that you're paying, then we're going to happily do that. And you brought up a good point. When you're dealing with a term seller, why do we want to pay their closing costs?
Because what's going to happen is if we're buying the house on terms, you don't want your seller, and most of the time they can't afford to show up to the closing table and have to write a check for a few $1,000s to get rid of the house that now they're going to, most of the time receive monthly payments on. And that makes it that's going to kill most of your deals, guys. So, here's a point where we can own a house for $2,000 or $3,000, and it's a nice house. So that's what we really love about those.
So with creative financing, you literally need such little amount money down, if anything at all. We prefer no money down, but then you might need a little bit of cash on hand to pay those closing costs, because that's just going to really seal the deal for the
And
seller.
if you learn how to sell the homes the right way, you don't really have to worry about that. If you do have to shell out a little bit of money, you'll get that right back and then some in a very short turnaround time. And I'm talking months, not even half a year, but months, not years, and you're profitable, and then you're getting cash flow, and then you're going to get checks in the back end too. So we're going to get a lot more into that in other times, but that's why both Brendan's deals, same thing Steve had. I think one of them was a no money down deal for Steve as well. But we have 3 deals today, guys, where there was no money down. So we bought 4 houses, and one of these was $5,000 down. So no joke, guys, we bought 4 houses today, and closing costs and the $5,000 down, $12,000-$13,000.
Right, and that doesn't even count the deals that you were on the phone with other people.
Yeah, we've got a lot more.
A couple came through that they wanted quite a bit down, and it's not worth that. It's not being creative when you have to shell out that kind of money.
Well, and it depends on the situation. In every deal is going to be a little different. There's times where you will put out some money. And we have those examples where it made sense in that deal, and I could tell you why. If you're going to get a 0% mortgage, but they need some money down, it's a free and clear house, and they're willing to take a mortgage back with just principal payments only, then if you have the money, or you could borrow the money, and you can make some good cash flow from it, it makes good sense. So it all depends on the structure of the deal. But if you're having to pay higher interest rates and sometimes what I call hostile terms, where they're just not as beneficial to you, it doesn't make sense. So at that point, that's why we love creative financing, because there's so many leads out there. It's an uncountable number. Because there's a lot of folks who have homes for sale. Maybe they're landlords who have homes for rent. So I'm dropping some keys right there, guys, if you're paying any attention, how to find some free leads. And just ask them if they would take some payments for their house. And some are going to say no, and some are going to say yes. And that's just the way it works. So when you could buy 4 houses without having to go to the bank, and these are all nice houses. Well, I'm not going to lie. There's one of them. It's a handyman special. And this one being a handyman special, we have creative ways of buying houses. We have creative ways of selling houses. And so that's the name of the game. If you have more than one way to get into a deal, and then you have a whole bunch of ways to get out of a deal too, to sell that deal, that's what's going to really make you the best investor. Is not just a one-trick pony where if I'm a wholesaler and that wholesale deal doesn't work, it's a tossed lead in the garbage.
Right, having those tools in a toolbox is really key.
And that's really
And then
key.
knowing which tool to use. Like, if you need a hammer and you're trying to use a screwdriver, it's not going to work.
Well, it can work sometimes. And you know how we do? Once in a while, it will work, but...
I guess maybe it's the bottom part of...
But you want a consistency. Oh, that's what you really want to do. And then what's really nice...
Knowing what to do when, though, like, that's really what you've honed in on, is the point I'm trying to make, is like the deal. Like, you know how to structure it.
Yes. And I'll give you an example on one that we had where in PA, next state over, they have it listed with the realtor. Realtor hasn't even showed the house and hasn't really done anything for the house. Won't release the listing. She wants, I think it's $4,000 to $5,000 to release the listing. And
it's for like a year.
And it's a long term too. And the seller, she just wants to leave. And the realtor says, nope, nope, nope. So when we look at having to pay the realtor $4,000 to $5,000, we look to pay another $3,000 in closing costs. That really won't work. You're paying $8,000, $9,000 to get into a property where you can make that work. A lot of people do, but there's ways around that. And especially if the realtor is really not showing the house at all. And so the seller says, hey, listen.
It's like really a crazy time to try to list a house, too. I mean, you're in the middle of a pandemic. Now it's the week before Christmas.
And the seller, she says, I'll sell it to you for what I owe. I just want to leave. I'm relocating to Oklahoma because that's where all my family is, and I want to be close to family.
She already has a move date.
She already's got the truck coming. So she's like, you know what? I might just have to end up renting this because nobody's been buying it, and here I'm in this dilemma. So once again, light bulb goes off in my head. What we do is what's called a sandwich lease. And here I'm dropping some other good stuff, guys. A sandwich lease means that we are going to be leasing the house from her. She's told the tenant or the realtor that now she's going to be renting it, so we're going to get it released. And then at that point, what we're going to do is we're going to rent the house from her. And our agreement, the one that we use, is it's really special one to, you got to make sure you use the right one.
Yeah.
But now this is saying that we're going to be able to release it to somebody else, like a sublease, with the option to sell it to them for more money. And so what this happens now is we don't have to buy the home, which means I don't have to come up with closing costs. I don't have to pay the realtor the $4,000 to $5,000, which now she'll see a renter in place, so she will drop the listing. And this is how you get to get into a property with no money, not even a penny out of pocket now. And when you have no payments for 60 days, that gives me a good 2-month window to find the right tenant buyer. Now, everybody says, but Joe, what happens if you don't find a tenant buyer? Well, then I'll wait another month. I'll make a payment if I have to. One payment is what, $600? I could swing it if I have to.
I think that's what it comes down to is where there's a will, there's a way. And if you want it bad enough and you want to make it happen, you will. Or you can sit here on the fence and think about all the things that might go wrong and it coulda, woulda, shoulda, what if, this, that. But if you don't just try, you'll never know.
But the thing is, I will say, is you really want to be in a great group, a good mentorship program of some sort. We don't do mentorships. We probably should, but we don't.
Right. The question came in, when's our course coming out? It's coming.
But the thing is,
we can't just launch something without it being perfect, you guys.
And it's going to be absolutely amazing.
It's going to be all-star. Go ahead.
You're right. It's going to be amazing. We have some really fun techniques. We've got creative ways to talk about how to flip homes. So I know a lot of you guys love flipping homes, but how to really do it in a smart way. We call it a mini flip, which is a kind of a term that I came up with because of the fact is you're really not coming up with you're a tiny fraction of the money on flips, which we'll have a fun way to do that too. So we've got a lot of great stuff, but once again, that's the real estate business.
And we're in it. Like, we're not just talking about it. Like, I think the fact that we are eating, breathing, sleeping, like, we sit here, right here is our office all day long. This guy, I just keep taking pictures with you. So cute. But he's seriously working his tail off, talking to as many sellers as possible, helping our team grow and really, getting the best groove with it, I would say, and so that we can then share it with you guys. So we're so pumped to share that when the time comes. I promise you guys will be the first to know.
But the other cool thing I would say is, we have a week before Christmas.
Yeah.
We have a global pandemic going on, and we're still doing this kind of business.
People are still needing to sell their houses. So
that's the point. It doesn't make a difference where you are, what market you're in. We are in a very hot seller's market rate where we live right now, and if you have a house, they don't last in the market very long. If you listen traditionally with a realtor, well, we run into a lot of situations where people have already tried that route, and it didn't work out well for them. We've ran into a lot of folks who don't want to go that route. It's a convenience thing dealing with somebody like us too, because we make it so darn easy for them.
Right.
And that's another reason why don't make it hard on your sellers. Make it easy as possible. I tell them all, guys, we make it easy on you, but there's a lot of back end stuff that we handle to make it so easy for you. And they really appreciate that, and that does go a long way. And when I'm talking to a seller and we explain to them that you could leave your house as is, so if there's anything you want to take out of it that's sentimental or value to you, take it. Anything you want to leave behind, leave it, and we'll take care of it.
Yeah, and on my page, I'm going to share some of the photos we just got from our contractor with the Brockware house. We were just there last weekend. Full of stuff, you guys. Like, how much?
A 40-yard dumpster was like overflowing.
Yeah, it was overflowing. So much stuff in it, and it's all gone. Like, we took care of it, and the seller is so grateful that, he was like, I'm sorry about all the stuff. Don't be. That's our job, And we're not mad one bit. We took care of it. Our guys went in there, and it's looking so good.
Yeah, and you know what? Actually, great question. Are we having a hard time sourcing deals since it's hard to, just because of the market right now? And no, because if you look at, there's so many different ways to find leads. we are bringing on more people. We have 2 acquisitionists on our team right now, and we have 1
we've
positionist.
Trained for the last 6 months, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been with us for 6 months. Our 2 guys, Brendan and Steve, were talking about their deals,
Yep.
and then we just brought on 4 more.
And it's just for the fact is, to answer your question, there's so many leads out there, we're not even coming close to tapping that. I mean, it's like the tip of the iceberg to where we're getting to with the 2 guys that we have right now, and they do a wonderful job. But however, that's why we brought 4 more onto the team, because there are so many abundance of leads to talk to, because once again, we offer something so unique that no other investor does, guys. This is what you got to remember. We are offering to pay a much better price than your typical wholesaler, where they're going to want to have 50 cents on the dollar, and if it doesn't work out for that wholesaler, then that, once again, it doesn't fit their formula. Where we could pay much more. Now, if it's a $100,000 home and a wholesaler gives them a $50,000 offer, but they owe $85,000 on the home, that deal does not work for them. Guys, we buy those deals all the time. So what we do is, here's another great tip. If you're looking for good leads, here's a great one. Partner up with all the wholesalers in your area and ask them, do you ever run into any leads where the seller wants too much for their house, or the numbers don't work out for a wholesale deal? The way I buy those deals, I can make them work.
And if you don't know how yet, then definitely stay tuned, because I think that might be why people are tuning in, dear, because they don't know.
Well, we're dropping some good stuff right now, guys. This is going to be helpful.
And I would say too, like the leads that are coming in, like we in the very beginning, if you get a chance, go back, because that was the point, was the follow up. So we're getting new leads every day, but it's also continuously following up with the ones that are finally coming to fruition, because time and circumstance is everything, and patience is probably the number one thing as far as being able to stay consistent, but also don't give up, don't quit.
And what I need to do a much better job on, I'm going to be the first one to admit, is I am on a lot of seller calls, but I always forget to record them. So what I want to do is maybe record a couple of those for you guys and drop those examples on here so you could hear the conversations of how those go. And then eventually down the road, I'd love to get to live seller calls where we go live on here, and I've got a stack of seller calls, and you get to see either they say yes, they say no, they say maybe, they say whatever it is.
We could even go live, have the iPad or have it on mine, and then you could do a call. That'd
right.
Cool. What do you guys think of that?
I like to have a bunch of them. So
Yeah.
if you can't get a hold of the first one, grab the next one. And sometimes while you're on the next call, they come back. So it's kind of fun. But that's what we love to do, is have some seller appointments ready to go. We let them know that we're going to make a call at this time. And we get on there and we see if we could turn some deals up. And you'll watch these deals turn into, but you'll get to see it live. So that's another fun thing we want to do too. And I guess because of my background, I love kind of just figuring out what works best for the seller and something that works well for us too. And it's got to be a win-win on both sides, because you'll get into some bad deals, guys, if you don't pay attention. The deal could be great for the seller and you're all happy because you have a terms deal, but that deal might not be great for you too. So you really want to be picky and choosy over the deals that you're going to look at.
You don't want to lose money because you're a business. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but once again, if you learn lots of different ways to structure a deal when you're buying, and lots of different ways how to structure a deal when you're selling, this will open up the playbook and give you a lot more opportunities to get the same amount of leads that you have coming in and convert more, because it's all about conversions. Yeah. It's not about the amount of leads, it's all about your conversions. So if I'm getting 10 leads and I try one way, I might convert 1 out of 10. But if I have a playbook where I could convert 3 or 4 of those out of that same 10 leads, that's going to give me a lot more opportunity off the same 10 leads. And that's what I want to teach you guys.
I would say the biggest tip too, and then I got to go check my bacon, it's in the oven.
Well, it smells good.
As far as converting sellers, it's not assuming that they won't, because I've talked with some other investors, and I feel like that's kind of like the fear is, why they're not going to want to do that. That's not going to work for them. But you can't even put that in your head, and you certainly can't put it in theirs.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, good. Go check that bacon because it smells good. But I'll give you an example of a deal that I just did on one of our homes that we just locked up, where the seller had a house. They bought it originally. They outgrew the home. They bought a new home. They tried to sell their house in the market for what they bought it for. They couldn't sell it. They put it on the market later on. They rented it for a few years. Tenant moves out. They put it back on the market for a sale for 10 grand less than what they bought it for. Still didn't sell. They put another renter in there. That renter moves out. They put it in there again for a third time. They try to sell the house for even less. So at their number, if they had it listed with a realtor, which they did, and they sold it for close to what they were asking for, they would have had to write a check. Welcome back.
Okay.
They would have had to write a check for about $2,000 to $3,000 at closing to get rid of that property. Where now I'm explaining to them with seller financing, I could pay much more for the property because once again, the cash flow there is fantastic. So if I could pay more and I could do it with no money down to where I'm just paying a couple thousand in closing costs, where when I sell that house to a tenant buyer with a rent to own, and they're going to give us a really good down payment, option payment, that's going to well outpace the $3,000, $4,000 I'll pay in closing costs, and I'm profitable, I'm getting cash flow. So once again, guys, if I have to pay more for the property, I'm not too worried about that, because once again, once I am selling the property, we make sure that our sellers, or our tenant buyers, they have a good down payment, because that's important. The more they're going to have down, the more likely they're going to have to be able to secure financing down the road once they are ready to get that mortgage. And that's the one really good thing, is where a lot of folks do rent to own and they don't do a good job of it. And I have a finance background, so I understand this, is they don't collect enough of a down payment. You want to get 10-20% down is a minimum. Don't go anything less than that. I would recommend it. And I'm obviously giving you some pretty good advice, but take it for what it's worth. But we wouldn't collect anything less than 10% down, because once they need to get a mortgage, FHA, they might need 3.5% down plus closing costs and first year of taxes. And what you don't want to do is have them go to the closing table and not have enough money to close the mortgage, and you're stuck.
And those who are paying more money down are just going to put more pride into that property too, and really treat it as their own home and work towards getting that home ownership as their goal.
Right, and that's why, once again, that is so important. And for your business model, it makes the most sense too, because that's going to keep them more secure to the property. They're going to have more skin in the game, and they're going to really appreciate that home a lot more. And it's their goal to own it, and it is for your goal for them to own it too.
And you're going to dig through a lot of people who are going to give you a hard time saying you're asking too much, and you just got to talk to more people.
Well, and remember this too, is if they're buying it today, the house is worth this. Yeah. What's it worth in 2 to 3 years? You look at what the houses appreciate in your area, is at 2, 3, 4%, 5%, depending on what they are, where you live. But then you can multiply that times 3 to 5 years, because our tenant buyers are generally going to buy it out in that 3 to 5 year range is what we're guessing. So with that being the case, I will definitely build some equity in the deal by charging them more for what we bought it for, even including the closing costs. I will build in some equity, because they're not closing today, they're going to be closing down the road. Right. They're going to be building us equity over time by paying down the debt we have to the seller, and you're going to get that cash flow. So there's the name of the game, guys.
Wow, if you took notes, you should just buy a new journal and start writing down everything he's given you here, because it is gold. But
this is great. This is some real good stuff. So if you want to find where these leads come from, you could do some marketing for them. There's no need to pay for those. We pay for them, so we do, and we get deals from there.
If you're first starting out, you could do a lot of things for free.
So many things for free that we get leads from. So we actually have a source. I think it's almost like 20 different ways where we get leads from, and I think one of them is paid for. Am I wrong? Maybe 2 are paid for?
Yeah, I have to double check.
Okay, I know it's not more than 2 or 3 that we pay for.
Well, yeah, it depends. Probably 3 to 4. We're not currently doing them all, but we have done some.
Yes, some mailings and things like that. Yeah. So you can do those. We could do some sponsored ads. Yes. And so once again, we have a few, but most of them are all free. That doesn't cost you anything, that you're going to get lots of leads from that way. So once again, creative financing is definitely the future. You're going to run into a lot more people who are going to be in a jam because of this virus. And if you could offer more money than other investors can for these folks' properties, guys, you're gonna win more deals than everybody else. When you could advertise that you can pay more money than other investors, they're gonna come to you, because they're gonna notice that. And if they've been lowballed by another investor, once again, you have a great advantage, because you're buying with creative financing. And when you buy with that creative financing, that's what's gonna give you that competitive advantage over everybody else in your market for getting that deal. So in my area, if somebody has a creative financing deal, everybody in my area, they all call me. All the investors call me, because they know that if we got a deal that looks like that creative financing, they know that we're going to wrap that deal up. And we do a lot with other investors too. I'm on the phone daily with multiple investors who, hey Joe, I think I have a deal. And actually, by doing that, you kind of almost get them a little bit in tune to what you look for, and they kind of call you up, say, almost with the deal partially done. So it's kind of nice, and it works out well for them because it's a little bit different than their business model, but they're going to get a nice chunk from you because you're going to pay them that referral. They're going to give you an assignment for that contract. And there's some marketing, guys.
And networking. It's all about, building that rapport, those relationships, and helping each other out too. I mean, there might be deals that don't work out and you don't get paid, but you're still planting seeds and really fostering, long-lasting relationships, because when it comes down to it, it's a people business all around. It's not just about a house.
And another super easy way is just tell the world what you do. Just say, I buy houses. I'm looking for houses. I could pay a lot more, pretty house or a roughed up house.
So that comes from within. You got to have some confidence and trust that you know what you're doing, and you're figuring out as you go, and that you're doing the right thing by helping out people. And like Joe said, everybody should win. And don't look at it as bragging, because I know in our society it's like, oh, they're bragging. You're not. If you don't advertise yourself, no one else is going to either. So. Well,
if you have a good day, like we have in the title, we locked up 4 deals today. Then that's a great
We know what
day.
we'll have to do. Maybe one where it was a little bit rougher, but
today was a bad day. Okay, we lost.
Great.
We'll say
so
we can
definitely. Give us some hearts if you are on the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. We've all been there, and so it is awesome to share the successes and the wins. But I'll tell you, 2 weeks ago, it was kind of a couple of rough days for some of our guys. They kept hearing that word no. And you know what? Some of these people that said yes today were saying no 2 weeks ago.
But, that's why I love what we do. And this is where I try to give them some positivity.
Yeah, he is Mr. Sunshine.
If you hear no today, guys, that's okay. That doesn't mean that's no. That just means no today.
Not right now.
No, that can mean yes tomorrow. That could mean yes next week.
If they say, stop calling me, okay, then stop calling them.
I wouldn't stop calling them. I would say, how about I just follow back up with you next month then? That's exactly what I would do.
Or if the house is sold, okay.
If the house is sold, then fine.
Okay.
You got me then. You got me. Okay, now I have to call somebody else for that house. But no, I'm kidding. But if that's, in all honesty, if somebody says, stop calling me, I'll say, fine, I'll just follow up with you next month. Have a good one. Click. And then next month, it'll be me calling you again.
He's not kidding, you guys.
I'll tell you, and I'll give you an honest
quick
tip.
Example.
If you have a seller appointment and I'm giving somebody an offer for their property and our appointment is at 9:30 in the morning and I call you at 9:30 and you're a no-show, I will call you every 20 minutes for the rest of your life until you answer the phone. And when you finally do answer the phone, I don't get into where were you or anything like this. I just say, hey, sorry for blowing up your phone, but I really want to get that offer prepared to you like we talked about. So can you give me a little bit more information about the property? And I roll right into it. I pretend like, sorry, I called your phone 97 times. No, I'm not sorry about that. We had an appointment and they missed it. And when I want to make sure I get them what I told them I was going to get them was the offer for their home. So I'm doing everything in my power to make sure I stand up to my end of the bargain, and that's to get them an offer quickly. And that's what I'm going to do. So every 20 minutes, sounds a little obsessive, but once again, that's what could be the difference.
It saves the deal.
Time kills deals, guys. And if they're not talking to you, they're going to be talking to somebody else. And somebody else could be buying that property. They could be paying way less, way more. You never know. But the thing is, you need to get on it, and you need to get on it quick. So time kills deals. And I am relentless. And especially when you smell somebody who wants to do business with you, well, then make sure you do business with them. Don't make it difficult. Make it easy. But make sure you get it done. And that's the name of the game, is conversions.
Really, we're all distracted. And so it really is our duty to make sure that we are very on top of the follow-up, because gosh, between everything that's happening in the world, and then you pick up your phone and and one second you're Instagram, next you're on YouTube, next you're looking up news, now you're checking the weather, and oh my gosh, you're Googling this.
Right.
So our brains are just like rapid fire all day long. So
it's easy to get distracted. And we understand that. It's that kind of technology now in that world that we live in. So understand that. But maybe, this is my priority. I want to make deals. And I'm obsessive about it. And when you have that type of mentality, you'll make deals. And you're going to figure out a way to make them happen.
4 of them on a Friday.
Who figures on a Friday of all things?
Yeah, what is today, the 18th?
So,
awesome. So these will all be rolling out.
February, so here's the thing. It's kind of rough. In some areas of the country, I'm in a lot of mastermind groups. In some parts of the country, they get closed in 10 days.
That must be so nice.
And I'm 10 days. That is crazy. So in our area, 10 days, yeah, and it's mind-boggling to me. In our area, we are 30 to 45 days for a closing. However, I talked to other investors, and he said he's 4 months out for a closing. So, oh my goodness.
Yes, we should be happy with 30 to 40.
Yes, so I guess it all depends on what you get going on, but 30 to 40 days. So
you got to do what your state needs you to do.
Yeah, and you got to have work. That's why we're buying our whole attorney's office lunch, and I will tell you they do a great job. We use attorneys in New York State, so we're buying for even the ones who don't work on our files. We're gonna get them Panera for the day, and there's like 20 something people in the office. But those are the folks that really bend over backwards for us to make sure things get done. And when we send them an email, I'm glad that they could call us back. And even when they don't call us back and I want to blow a gasket, they still take good care of us, because that happens in any business. They get busy, I get it. But, as far as you're concerned, your deal is the most important thing in the world. Meanwhile, they're working on tons of them, so I understand. But with that being the case, doing those things for them it really shows them that you appreciate them. And I tell them, we appreciate all you guys in your office, even if they help us or not. They're still part of the team, and it's you guys that we appreciate. So doing those small things, spending a couple $100 will make them so happy. Might be even more than a couple hundred, but it's going to make them really happy. It's going to go a long way. So we have a lot of deals.
'Tis the season to give.
Well, we also have a lot of deals planned for 2021, guys. So we are
rocking and rolling, so stay tuned.
We are preparing for a large year. So yes, in Arizona, you guys are very lucky because you guys are lightning fast. In New York State,
you have nice weather.
Yeah, we are. And there's snow on the ground here, so we fit that Christmas season. But either way, we're gonna drop more of these. So stay tuned. We just kind of want to talk about a fun day and go live with it. So we will keep dropping more of this, but definitely, guys, if you're interested in learning how to build your portfolio, how to buy some properties, maybe it's your first one, or maybe you've got many properties, how to buy properties without using money of your own, or very little money of your own, because you don't have to use money on your own if you don't have it in the beginning. There's ways to get that. But how about not using banks? And that's the key. We stopped using banks because non-recourse debt, and if you don't know what that means, look that up. Non-recourse debt is the best way to do, because we have a lot of mentors and in our mastermind group who are some really, really big hitters. They do very well for themselves, and a lot of them lost tens of millions of dollars in 08, if not even more than that. So we learn a lot from their mistakes, guys, and that's how we try to be better than the previous generation. So here's some great tips I left today. Jen left today, so I hope this helps you in your business. And stay tuned, and if you want to learn more, reach out, and we'd love to chat. So see you guys. Have a good holidays.
Happy weekend.
All right, bye.